The Crescent Moon Club, in association with Cyclops Entertainment, in conjunction with ABT presents Omnibus Unlimited, a roundtable discussion of provocative subjects which must be addressed. Radiovision for the 21st century. Hello again, everyone. I'm Laurence, Nobile, independent researcher and host of Omnibus Unlimited. Tonight, our topic of discussion is the aesthetic double. With me to discuss this subject is Tom Murray, psychic healer and medical technician from the Columbus Medical Associates in Boston. Tom, thanks for being here tonight.
Good evening, Larry. Nice to be here. It's a beautiful summer night.
Yes, it is. Dan Murray, ufologist from Berlin, Massachusetts. Dan, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Larry.
Brian Nobile, youth specialist from Wilmington, Massachusetts. Thanks for being here tonight, Brian.
Thank you.
Peter McGowan, associate producer of ABT. Peter, thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you, Larry.
Michael Lewis, theorist from Dedham, Massachusetts. Michael. Professional skeptic.
If you will.
Okay. Very good. And of course, our own producer of Omnibus Unlimited, John Horrigan, who will be chiming in as need be. John, thanks for producing the show again tonight.
Just tickled, Larry.
Professional jerk.
And the show has started off on a good foot. Good foot. Gentlemen, our topic is the aesthetic double, and Tom, you wanted to talk about this. Why don't you kick it off for us? What is the aesthetic double?
Well, Larry, I wouldn't call it the aesthetic double, more the etheric double.
Etheric double.
Unfortunately, what we do in life mostly is, at least especially in the United States and the Western world, and I won't say all of the Western world, but the general trend of Western medicine is to look at a three-dimensional solid earth, the good old familiar hard table, our bodies, things we can touch, see, smell. Anything that isn't three-dimensional, isn't solid, we tend to have a problem with defining. This is where a lot of myths and so forth generate. People make up different phenomena that don't really exist and try to explain it away in the Middle Ages, earlier times. And we can look at the psychic world, we can look at the other side of the supernatural world with the same type of scientific trend, scientific analysis that we look at the physical three-dimensional world. We were able to find gaseous matter such as oxygen and nitrogen by breaking down solid matter to liquids and liquids eventually to gases and trying to figure out, although in early experimentation we couldn't see oxygen, we knew that if we added certain gases, fire could happen, you could burn something, and with the lack of certain gases, we weren't able to start fires. And we started to give these different gases names. That's kind of how we figured out that oxygen existed. By the same token, you can go to the metaphysical or the supernatural world, you might call it, and apply scientific techniques to find out if these things exist or don't exist. There's also the factor of serendipity or intuition in the scientific community. A famous example of that is the discovery of penicillin. Penicillin falls in a petri dish of bacteria that a scientist is trying to grow. This happened 40 different times at least in the history of science, according to notes, until eventually one scientist noticed that the very bacteria that we're trying to kill, the very bacteria that we're trying to control, is being killed by this penicillin. And this doctor became quite famous for what we call the discovery of penicillin, a common mold that is airborne. That was serendipity. That was intuition, good fortune, you can call it. Well, other people have been able to do things in which they can heal, or they can read people's thoughts, not what they're exactly thinking, but what their emotional state is and what their tendencies are. Other people can diagnose the body by seeing energy fields around the body. Again, heal and change the energies of the body. And very often, the scientific community that should investigate these in a non-judgmental, open, unbiased ways erects barriers intellectually, emotionally, and physically and denies their existence. But like they say, you observe a phenomenon, you try to reproduce the phenomenon, and you see if you can get the same type of results as the original experiment. Then you form a hypothesis, and from that you form a theory. That's a scientific method. And in healing, I do 4 or 5 healings a day at my clinic, in which not that I make the person totally, wholly healthy, but I can take pain away, I can energize them, they feel better, and I know they're going to feel not so well a little later, but I can reproduce this phenomenon several times a day, every day of the week. My teachers can do this, and I know many other clinicians that can do this too, because they've developed a scientific process to develop the way to heal. One of my teachers is Kiku Miyazaki. She's a Japanese lady who's trained in the field of shiatsu. Shiatsu is a type of massage that's based on the principles of acupuncture and applied to the body with an open palm technique. In the techniques of shiatsu, a person controls their breathing, they go into a certain meditative state and try to align their vibrational or energetic field to that of the person they're working on. They believe that they are able to generate energy which flows into the other person, or if the person's energy flow is stuck or not flowing easily, they can improve that energy flow. An acupuncturist, and this has been documented many times, can insert needles into certain places on the skin. As a result, a person's pain threshold can be elevated. That means a person can withstand more pain, even though no other chemical change or physical change has appeared. A person's blood flow can be slowed down or speeded up. And even open heart surgery has been performed on people using acupuncture as the sole anesthetic. Now, acupuncture doesn't work on everybody, and it doesn't work always at the same level. But there's no drug that's ever existed on the face of the earth, manufactured by the pharmaceutical companies of the world, that has ever worked 100% on everybody either. And in fact, the success of drugs is about 80%. The success of surgery, in some cases, is less.
So, acupuncture is used to provoke the body's own systems to provide anesthesia.
Yes, that's correct. The acupuncture can be a form of anesthesia to the body, and also a stimulus or a depressant.
Well, now the acupuncture itself, the needles that they throw in there, that is the anesthetic, or does putting in the needle at certain points produce an anesthetic from the body?
That's a good point, Larry. As I say, from the West, we tend to look at the three-dimensional, the solid world, the thing that we touch, feel, taste. So if you're looking at the needle isn't the answer. The needle is just the medium, just the instrument of exchange of energy between what in India the ancient Hindus called prana, what the Chinese call chi, or in the Japanese call ki, what in the Western world we might call the vital force or the energy force, to flow through that needle that acts as an antenna, you could say, for that energy force to flow into the body, into what, as the introduction we mentioned, the etheric body.
So this goes far beyond what I was suggesting. I was suggesting that the needle simply produces or causes the body to produce the anesthesia, but you're suggesting that it is a combination, that the needle is used as a conduit for energy that is outside the body, to allow that energy to come in, to mix with the body's own energy, and then to provide whatever medical process there is.
Yes, Larry. The needle, you can take a needle and you can jab yourself with it and provoke a little bit of pain and therefore a little bit of local anesthesia. But I wouldn't see how people get better or get healthier, or how you cure diseases by just poking yourself with a needle. And this is sort of the American explanation of how acupuncture works. Another explanation from the neurological end is what they call the gate theory of pain. If I look at the 5 fingers on my hand, the thumb is my biggest one, my thickest one. If you look at electricity, a big thick wire carries more current than a small thin one. Now, the surface of a nerve carries an electric current. This is how the nerve makes the muscle twitch and contract, or how it regulates the activity of an organ. So one explanation for how acupuncture, and by conjunction shiatsu, and let's say an organic healer, a spiritual healer, a person that by touch can conduct energy field into the body, the gate theory would say that the person's promoting an electronic field or an electrical flow of energy. Now, if a nerve, let's say a small nerve root is hurting, or it's near a hurting area, and you put an energy field through the thicker root, the larger nerve root, that will block the sensation of pain from the smaller one. Just like a big gate closing can close off a smaller gate. That's the neurological gate theory explanation for anesthesia in acupuncture. But then again, that would limit massage, acupuncture, and shiatsu to just being an anesthetic. And yet, these things go beyond that. As I mentioned, they can increase the flow of blood or decrease the flow of blood. Acupuncture can be used in many, many different illnesses, such as eczema, help relieve pain of arthritis, and it's a total discipline in itself as far as a medical study goes. People have had their fevers reduced through acupuncture. Hitting certain points can actually lower your body temperature 4 or 5 degrees. I've done this myself. And yet, mechanically or neurologically, there would be no reason for this to happen according to just gate theory and anesthesia theory. The person was not anesthetized, they didn't fall asleep, but their fever broke and went down. Now somebody might say, oh, you just timed it right and you stuck in the needle as the fever was going down. No, because this has been done over and over, many, many times, by acupuncturists on their patients. And all the medical profession has to do is look at these records and observe it. And again, as I say, I do it in my clinic without even touching the patient.
How long have you been doing, so you do acupuncture?
I'm not a licensed acupuncturist. No, I don't perform acupuncture. I use my hand.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and the hand can be, on a scale of effectiveness, how effective is the hand over the acupuncture?
Again, we're getting to a definition of energy that doesn't exist in the United States and doesn't exist in a lot of the Western thinking type of health. What we're talking about is, as I say, the Chinese call it qi, and the people of India call it prana, a life force. You have your physical body, the body you know, your hair, your skin, your teeth, your eyes. There's another body, a body called the etheric double. Now, the etheric double is a physical substance. In certain light, when you look at somebody, if you see a little bit of a corona or energy field around them, sometimes you can see this, sometimes you can't. But this usually projects about 2 inches above the surface and around the surface of the body. And this is what we mean by the etheric double. For every single particle in your body, there is around and through another particle called this double body, or etheric double. Because it's an exact duplicate of your body on the etheric plane, that's why it's called the etheric double. Now, the etheric double absorbs energy globules that the Chinese would call qi. They're in the air, they're in all substances, and all substances are always giving these off, all living things. Now, the etheric double, I believe, is affected strongly by acupuncture and shiatsu. I don't know which is more effective. Probably it's easier to put a needle in somebody because you're not doing as much work. It doesn't require as much mind thought. But I figure that the acupuncture needle is a little bit more towards the physical body and a bit towards the etheric body. Whereas shiatsu based on tuning your own body into the wavelength of the person you're working on, in doing breathing exercises, in generating, literally generating, this very refined etheric energy is probably more healing through energizing this etheric double. It probably is more subtle and probably has more long-term lasting effects if at a lower level. So you could say the acupuncture might be a little bit stronger, the shiatsu would be a little more subtle, but a little longer lasting.
Now, the etheric double, this is something that everyone has.
Yes, every living thing.
And this is something that some people are able to tap into easier than others?
Yes, everybody has an etheric double. The etheric double is one of the layers of the aura that certain people can see. And I liken it to, or as you say, developing a talent. Some people can sing, some people can't sing very well. If we all took singing lessons, the person with the gifted voice might become a great singer. The average person might be able to sing a little bit better, but might not become a great singer. And some people really just can't sing too well. But you do have that etheric double. It does give off energy and absorb energy. Therefore, if it's giving off energy and absorbing energy, anybody that's ever studied particle physics would have to say, then you affect another person and another person affects you. This is a two-edged sword, Larry. If I'm giving off energy and it's negative energy, it's anger, it's frustration, it's hate, it's going to affect your etheric double. And if this is the way that, say, shiatsu and acupuncture, and by the way, also something that used to be called mesmerism, and today is called hypnosis works also, then I could poison you with thoughts, or you could poison me. By the same token, positive thinking and positive energy release could be beneficial towards you, and vice versa.
Very interesting. Now, with individuals that have the ability to tap into their etheric double, they can then use that ability to heal themselves without the use of acupuncture and that sort of thing. Is that right?
Yeah, Larry, that's a very good jump. So we've gone from, say, the acupuncturist or the shiatsu practitioner working on you to the fact that you can work yourself to heal yourself. And we all have known people that have a cold, and they say, geez, I'm really busy at the office this week. We have that special project coming up. I just cannot put energy into this cold. I have to put energy into subduing the cold, pushing it away. Mm-hmm. And so the person through, without even training, but a good disciplined mind says, nope, I'm not going to have this cold. And I believe that activates the etheric double through consciousness because, by the way, the etheric double is the link between the astral mind and the physical body. Now, by the astral mind, what I mean is our soul and our mind, our thoughts. So they communicate with the body on what they want the body to do through this etheric double. So the etheric double could also, if you have mental problems, by stimulating the health of the etheric double, you could also stimulate the mental health of a person also. And as we're saying, that person sits, does certain breathing, or they just do things to be in a better, healthy frame of mind, might be able to, through stimulating the etheric double stimulates their immune system to subdue that cold. We found that men in combat situations very seldom get ill, almost never. The need to stay alive is so great that in areas of heavy colds, even those that have caught malaria and so forth, seem to be able to function despite their illnesses. It's only when they're back at a safe area, behind their major lines or on rest and recuperation and so forth, that their illnesses tend to catch up with them and overcome them.
Very interesting. Now, so we've talked about how an individual who is able to tap into the etheric double. For instance, myself. I'm not suggesting that I do. I'm simply imparting some information here. When I get a cold, I immediately think about my body's immune system attacking it. This is normally, I don't do this while I'm driving or in a situation such as this. This is usually when I'm home, laying in bed, ready to go to sleep, and I'll think about my body's immune system attacking the virus. If I have a little scratchy throat, and I think that this is the beginning of a sore throat, and as a host, I can ill afford a sore throat, I think about my body's immune systems attacking the virus, killing it, and getting rid of it. And this is not something that I will just lightly do. I mean, I think about it for several minutes, 10, 15. And then I'll go to bed, go to sleep. Is this, would you suggest that that is an attempt to tap into the etheric double?
Yes, most assuredly. As I mentioned a moment ago, the etheric double, like this microphone which carries our voices, is the medium of exchange between the mental and the physical. It is a physical substance itself. The etheric double is composed of several layers. There's the known as the atomic layer, the subatomic layer, the superetheric layer, and the etheric layer. These are physical layers. They're substances that exist. The other two major groups that we're talking about are the astral plane and the physical plane, the molecular structure that we call our bodies. And as I mentioned, all living things have this. Plants have it, animals have it, human beings have it. Mineral substances have about none of it. They're pretty inert.
So animate objects have the etheric double, and inanimate objects do not.
Yes.
So grass has it and rocks do not.
Yes. In fact, research has been done on plants by many different psychic organizations, ESP organizations, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, astrophysical research groups, and it's been found that reading the energy waves, literally hooking up electrocardiograms to plants and bringing soil to them, the plant can register whether it would be receptive to that soil or not. And gardeners now use this to select sites in which they would either plant flowers or trees. As you might know, trees tend to like a little bit more acidic soil than plants do. So this type of knowledge is actually used by certain gardeners and so forth, and very successfully. It's also been found that the etheric field of plants are receptive to the state of health of their owners. When an owner feels ill, it often reflects on the health of the plant. And this can be measured in, again, encephalograms and other sensitive instruments that are used to read about the health of plants.
Very interesting. Brian Nobile, did you want to add something to this?
Yes, I did. I was curious if human being was able to master this etheric double, would he be able to heal himself at any given point in time, get rid of colds with just a mere thought, things like that, nature?
I think the time input would probably be to the level of your development.
Well, this is interesting. Brian, are you suggesting that it could be done instantaneously?
Yeah, possibly, you know. I mean, is it possible that you'll be able to heal something with this etheric double if you were able to master it, say, on a higher level, where you could just call upon it, you know, instantly?
Would you consider, say, Brian, sort of like a miracle healing, what sometimes people call miracles?
Like the, you know, it's said that some people are able to heal broken bones with a mere touch, you know, and it's supposedly gifts, or have they just practiced it enough where they're able to call upon it almost like magic, you know, in a way, you know,
Brian, miracles do occur. They don't occur all that often, and they tend not to occur consistently. But yes, a miracle cure, for example, somebody brings in a child has a brain tumor. The doctors want to operate. The people go to their church, the church prayer group. A week later, the tumor's gone. The doctors say, well, the tumors don't regress that fast. That's impossible. So on the traditional medical, mechanical, three-dimensional explanation, we can't explain it. So to us, it's a miracle. Now, actually, what a miracle isn't anything out of the unusual. It's just nature, as it was ordained originally to be, working as it's supposed to. I think that illness is a misstatement often caused by the misdirection, misattitude, negative energy, pollution, and everything else that man does to himself. We all know people that have never had to go to a doctor. They're never sick a day in their lives. Is that a miracle? Or is that person being able to, even if they're not aware of it, tuning into their etheric double and just doing the right things to keep the molecular health happening at a proper rate?
They do it without actually thinking about it. Yes, Brian.
Yeah, do you think it could be possible that Jesus could be possibly a miracle healer? It's been said he's been able to heal the sick in the mere touch, make people see with a mere touch. Do you think it's possible he might have been able to master this, where people would look at it and say it's a miracle, but on a psychic level?
Nobile, youth specialist from Wilmington, Massachusetts. Brian, thanks for being here.